Hi, I'm just going to explain this Venn diagram here and how these premises work together to form the conclusion. So let's look at our first premise here. All snakes are reptiles. Second premise, all reptiles lay eggs. Conclusion, all snakes lay eggs. So we could say all reptiles are egg layers. That way we still get the are verb in there. All snakes are reptiles, all reptiles are egg layers, all snakes are egg layers. So when we're doing our finding our terms here, I think we've got S and R, S and E, and again, R and E here. So let's just graph them. So S, R, and E. So what do these premises mean and how do they translate onto these circles? So when you say all snakes are reptiles, right, what you're saying is here's the set of all things that are reptiles, all the reptiles you can imagine. Here's all the snakes in the world, all the snakes possible. Now, is it possible to have a snake that's not a reptile? Which would be right here, a snake that's not a reptile. No. What this premise is actually saying is all snakes are reptiles. So all the things in the world that are snakes have to exist only in this overlap with reptiles, okay? So what we do when we graph that premise is we look at all these non-reptile snakes and we say, you can't exist. We poke them out of existence. We just say, there's nothing in here. It's empty. It's impossible, actually. It's not just empty, it's impossible for there to be snakes that are not reptiles on the basis of this premise right here. What's the next one? All reptiles are egg layers, right? And so we're saying, here's all the things in the world that lay eggs. Oh, some of them might be birds, right? But what we're saying is that if these are all reptiles, right, all the reptiles, there's no way for there to be a reptile over here that's not an egg layer. So we have to take all of this non-egg layer reptile space and say, you don't exist. You don't exist either. It doesn't matter if the space that we have here is smaller. It doesn't matter. This isn't about how concepts, sort of about how properties relate to each other, and how we classify and categorize beings, I guess. It's not necessarily about the size of the set of those things. So what we've said now is that you can't have reptiles that aren't egg layers. So all the R has to exist in the E zone, okay? So we have mapped that premise. Now we never map a conclusion. What we do is we map the two premises and see if the conclusion is true on the basis of those premises. So now our conclusion says all snakes are egg layers. So is this true? Have we gotten rid of all the area that involves being a snake, except for that which overlaps with eggs? Egg laying, sorry. Right? And we're saying, yeah, here's all that's left of the area of snakeness or being a snake. It's both a reptile and egg laying. Now there are reptiles that lay eggs that are not snakes, and there are egg layers that are not snakes or reptiles, birds or something, right? But on the basis of these two premises, this conclusion is true, okay? So there's no way for the premises to be true and for this conclusion to be false. So that means that the premises force the conclusion and this is a valid argument.